2021, Volume 5, Number 1, pages 85-100. Enhancing Security in Affordable Housing, The Case of Prince Fawaz Project. Professor Dr. Magid Attia. Department of Architecture, Faculty of Architecture and Planning, King Abdulaziz University, Jeddah, KSA. Email, matia@cal.edu.sa. Article info. Article history. Received March 9, 2021. Accepted May 15, 2021. Available online May 30, 2021. Keywords. Environmental crime. Enhancing security. Crime rates. Prince Fawaz Project. Saudi Arabia. Abstract. The present study argues that the urban form of affordable housing projects affects safety and security. The study examines the level of safety and security in the Prince Fawaz project, proposing recommendations that enhance it. Theories and approaches concerned with the environmental crime are initially reviewed. Then, urban and architectural features as well as crime rates and patterns are documented. Also, trace and behavior observations are carried out. The observations monitored urban features and behaviors associated with crime or fear of crime. Residents' perception for security and fear of crime is extracted through a questionnaire. A space syntax is processed and linked with the questionnaire and observation outputs. Observations demonstrate a semblance of fear of crime which is supported by records of car and home theft. Although the questionnaire reflects a suitable level of security, it points to peripheral spaces and areas around mosques and shops as the less secure. However, enhancing security in the Prince Fawaz project requires urban interventions including controlling access to peripheral spaces, reviving areas detected to be unsafe, repositioning elements causing visual obstacles and enhancing appearance by vegetation and sustainable maintenance. Besides, reformulating the movement network so that an appropriate integration between residents and strangers is achieved. On the conceptual level, the study proves that none of the theories of environmental crime can act as a comprehensive approach, but each can partly work. This article is an open access article distributed under the terms and conditions of the Creative Commons Attribution, CC BY, license. This article is published with open access at www.ijqua.com. Journal of Contemporary Urban Affairs, 2021, 5, 1, 85-100. https://doi.org/10.25034/ijqua.2021.v5n1-8. www.ijqua.com. Copyright 2021, Professor Drive Magid Attia. 1. Introduction. With the economic prosperity of the mid-70s, the Saudi government began to build many housing projects to meet the growing population and the immigration from villages to cities. Al-Hazza, 2001. Traditional society is in general deeply religious, conservative, and family-oriented. Whereas in the urban lifestyle, fathers used to absent outside the home for long hours, women went to work relying on foreign nannies and maids in raising children, and sons acquired more freedom. The recruitment of labor from different nationalities led to noticeable social changes. Social networks have made the new generations more vulnerable to changes in beliefs, behaviors, customs, and traditions, and religious values. The socio-economic changes caused pressures that led to a rise in crime rates and the emergence of new types of crime. Abdullah ibn Saleh, 1999, Al-Bishr, 2000. The crime rate in Saudi Arabia is generally low compared with other countries. Though, in 2005, the number was significantly raised to about 90,000 crimes, with a rate of 392 crimes per 100,000 people. By the year 2006, the number of criminal offenses dropped to 88,609 with a rate of 354 crimes per 100,000 people. Abu Shama, 2007. During the year 2014, the number of crimes reached 96,000 but with a rate of 311 crimes per 100,000 people. El Turki, 2015. The number of crimes in 2016 reached 149,781 with a rate of 464.46 crimes per 100,000 people. This number dropped by 4.5% in 2017, SABQ, 2017. During the last 3 years, the Saudi government is adopting serious reforms in its economic policy, causing a huge number of jobs lay-off of foreign labor, and accordingly dramatic socio-economic changes took place. Without specific figures, OSAC crime and safety reports of 2019 and 2020 indicate that crime in Saudi Arabia has increased but remains at levels far below most major metropolitan areas. OSAC, 2019, 2020. It is worth mentioning that Saudi Arabia has two types of police forces, namely general and religious. The general police are responsible for national security and crime investigation, while religious police is in charge of enforcing religious customs of Sharia, like segregation of sexes, the prohibition of alcohol, men attending prayer, suppression of non-Muslim displays, and the modesty of women. Piatenpol etal, 2018. Crime in residential areas is a vital issue because it affects the work of police departments, real estate agents, and residents. Crime, or fear of crime, has a direct reflection on outdoor activities, psychological status, communal relationships as well as real estate value. Marcus etal, 2018. Ghani, 2017, argues that the frequent occurrences of crimes in urban area instill fear and accordingly reduce economic opportunities, safe living, and quality of life. Crime reduction can be an effective tool for investment in the housing sector. Laco etal, 2018, this is crucial for affordable housing. Literature does not establish that urbanization causes crime, but it is linked with a crime because it harbors many people, which some of them may tend to crime. So, 2012. Yet, in many instances, the urban configuration of the residential area contributes to making a settlement an attractive area for crime. Lorink etal, 2012. The relationship between crime and urbanism attracted the attention of architects, planners, sociologists, criminologists, and policemen. There are some theories, approaches, and tools that aimed at promoting security and reducing opportunities for crime and risk in the built environment. Theories include the defensible space, broken window, and crime prevention through environmental design. Did Adele etal, 2016. New urbanism is an urban design approach that, among other objectives, advocates safety from crime. CNU, 2001. Alongside other applications, space syntax seeks to find explanations for the places in which crime incidents occur. Hillier and Sabaz, 2008. The problem of understanding the impact of urban design on crime lies in the complexity of measuring this relationship. Although many attempts have been made worldwide, it is receiving inadequate interest in Saudi Arabia. Therefore, the present paper is an attempt in this direction. 2. Material and methods. The research reviews theories and approaches concerned with the relationship between urban design and security, crime, and fear of crime. In the case study, many techniques are utilized. First, data related to Prince Fawaz affordable housing project is gathered, including rates and patterns of crime over the last 3 years. Second, a trace observation is tackled to monitor features associated with crime or fear of crime such as fences, protection iron, and visual obstacles. Third, behavior observation detects activities that might have a relationship with crime. Fourth, a questionnaire is conducted to explore levels of security in different spaces, places, and times in which residents feel more vulnerable to crime, previous experience with crime, and prevailing types of crime. A sample of 360 questionnaires was distributed covering about 27% of the project units. The sample realizes a confidence level of 95%. The questionnaire form includes several closed-ended questions with bilateral answers, while others are formulated in a Likert type scale. At the end of the questionnaire, residents are asked about their suggestions for enhancing security. The urban pattern of the Prince Fawaz project then processed with space syntax. With depth map, many measurements are derived, and data obtained from observation and questionnaire are correlated. An interpretation of concluded results accompanied by recommendations for enhancing security and reducing crime in the Prince Fawaz project are then discussed. Fig. 1. Figure 1. Research methodology. 3. Theory. The relation between crime and the built environment has been the interest of environmental criminology, Anna Alvaz-Delfrate, 1993, Brown and Altman, 1983, Cousins, 2002, Yazdanfar and Nazari, 2015. It is based on the idea that criminals take geographic factors into account when deciding on crimes, Bartle and M., 2006. Many theories and applications were built on environmental criminology such as rational choice, routine activity, and crime pattern, Mallison and Birkin, 2012, Sean and Barton Belisat, 2015, Wilcox, 2015. However, several attempts have been made to derive criteria that can enhance security and reduce crime in housing communities as discussed below. Defensible Space. Oscar Newman's Defensible Space, introduced in 1972, was based on 4 design elements including territoriality, natural surveillance, image, and milieu, Zen and Mohammed, 2014. The theory advocates the consensus between a homogeneous group of inhabitants in a specific urban context which includes a hierarchical system of open spaces, with the maximization of private and semi-private spaces on the account of public and semi-public ones. Accordingly, access to an area should be limited to legal users whereas strangers are believed to be the source of danger. Defensible Space adopts the separation of residents from strangers, whether by physical or symbolic means, Newman, 1972. However, if Defensible Space could succeed on a limited scale, it will be difficult to be replicated at the city level which, according to Hillier, 2004, will transfer into segregated islands leading to encouraging criminal activities and increasing the fear of crime. Empirical studies did not support Defensible Space 2, Cousins et al., 2001. Crime prevention through environmental design, DID is affected by Defensible Space in terms that the safe community must enjoy a sort of control on danger, personal threat, and crime, Mohit and Hannan, 2012. DID aims to make the physical context safe for normal users but make it uneasy for abnormal users to engage in inappropriate behavior. DID relies on strategies including territoriality, surveillance, consolidated activities, controlled accessibility, sustainable maintenance, and good management, and target hardening within geographical juxtaposition, Ha et al., 2015, Piruzfar et al., 2019. Natural surveillance in live spaces will thus discourage crime. Meanwhile, assigning clear functions for spaces accompanied by sustainable maintenance and management is expected to leave a limited chance for crime. So, DID is embodied in the 3D approach which includes designation concerned with the activities assigned for spaces, definition concerned with the physical boundaries of spaces, and design concerned with the practice of desired uses in a safe manner. Marvi and Behzadfar, 2015, Saqib and Abdullah, 2012. Like Defensible Space, empirical studies prove that DID outputs are not confirmed. El-Badawi, 1991, Hardy, 1997, Robinson, 1997, Serpis, 1998. Broken window theory believed that serious crimes occurred as a result of a series of minor crimes. The theory links crime with disorder and argues that if the disorder was eliminated then serious crime would not occur. Austin et al., 2002. Thus, a well-maintained environment could reduce and prevent criminal activities. This link has been shown to be often non-existent. Harcourt, 2009. The theory has been criticized for being only a short-term solution, not a robust theory. Taylor, 2001, Thatcher, 2004. However, the theory reinforced the principles of natural surveillance and territoriality. New urbanism, the approach tried to avoid the criticism of urban design for its lack of humanity, responsiveness, sensitivity as well as lack of safety from crime. Unlike defensible space, new urbanism adopts expansion in public spaces to encourage interaction between users and strengthen the sense of affiliation, the mixture of uses to support the vitality and increase the presence of people in streets, encouraging walkability by utilizing grid pattern of streets, allocating buildings adjacent to streets to enhance natural surveillance, and finally increasing densities. Elshatter, 2012. However, Foster et al. 2016, argue that new urbanism may deliver social and well-being benefits, but its impact on creating safe space is still subjective. Evidence from criminology links the main features of new urbanism with increased levels of crime. For instance, the non-residential land uses which constitute destinations to walk to have been associated with an elevation in property crime levels. Likewise, street connectivity is a fundamental aspect in new urbanism to provide direct and varied walking routes for residents, yet, streets are also easily navigated by offenders with more options of escape routes. McCord et al., 2007. Space syntax. Space syntax as a configurational analysis method was established by Hiller in 1984 based on the research of Hiller and Hansen on the concept of social logic of space. Hillier and Fawaz, 2005. The technique is applied to examine how the physical or visual accessibility of a spatial system affects the social behavior of users. Eliminating crime is one of the main concerns. In a spatial system, the value of accessibility of a street segment from all around ones is identified by two measures, which are integration and connectivity. In residential areas, studies demonstrate that streets that enjoy a higher integration value, and hence higher accessibility, enjoy more security levels than segregated ones. Valentine et al., 2000, Elgarmadiand and Uzzer, 2018. The presence and social interaction within a space prevent criminals from committing a crime because they could be easily caught then. But it does not seem that the relationship between urbanism and crime is identified by accessibility only. Many studies demonstrate conflicting results according to variations in income level, density, and education. Nubini and Weinman, 2005. Sonia Hurt and Zame, 2012, argue that as long as the city has inconsistent types of open spaces, movements, and activities, crime rates will unexpectedly vary from one area to another. This is confirmed by Hagen and Daigle, 2018, who emphasize the fact that there is no absolute right or wrong in criminology. Table 1 summarizes the above discussion. Table 1. Theories of environmental criminology, corresponding implications and impacts. Theory/approach, main concept/principles, implication to urban design, impact in practice. Defensible space, territoriality, geographical juxtaposition, natural surveillance, image and milieu, minimized common areas. Maximized private ownership. Boundary definition. Minimized permeability, results are not confirmed. Territoriality, natural surveillance, access control, activity support, image management, geographical juxtaposition, mixed land use. Border definition of controlled space. Clearly marked gathering areas. Reduce use conflicts with natural barriers. Overcome distant and isolation, crime levels dropped, but encouraging burglaries, crime. Reduction of crime in the town centers, not in housing areas. Broken window, well-maintained environment. Natural surveillance and territoriality, regular maintenance, could reduce and prevent criminal activities. Short-term and partial. Failed to consider collective efficacy. New urbanism, vitality and sense of community. Walkability and minimum car dependence, and natural surveillance, expansion in public spaces. Mixed land use. Grid pattern of streets. Buildings adjacent to streets. Compact development. Increasing densities, linked with increased levels of crime. Still subjective. Space syntax. The increased accessibility and social interactions, reflected in integration and connectivity measures, enhancing pedestrians and vehicles movement, results widely varies depending on income level, density, and education. Vegetation is an integrated component of urbanism. Like the built environment, the impact of vegetation on crime is still questionable. From one side, vegetation is believed to encourage crime as it can help to conceal criminals while they plan and execute crimes and then disappear. Nassar et al., 1993. Also, being visual obstacles, vegetation limit visibility and hence promote fear. Nassar and Jones, 1997. Donovan and Prest-Eman, 2010, indicate that smaller trees that obstruct visibility were associated with increased crime in residential areas. On the other side, the latest research argues that well-maintained vegetation enhances reducing rates in certain types of crime. Studies attribute the reduction in crime rates to increased surveillance in vegetated spaces and the delightful mode resulting from the landscape. For instance, rich vegetation is considerably associated with lower rates of assault, robbery, and burglary, but not theft crimes. Wolf and Menace, 2012. Moss et al. 2009, argue that, in residential areas, vegetation could effectively decrease fear of crime, enhance the sense of safety and reduce reported crime. In large neighborhoods, vegetation contributed to reducing violence and property crime. Kuo and Sullivan, 2001. Moreover, Donovan and Prest-Eman, 2010, found that large private trees and street trees enhanced lower crime rates. Finally, the greening of vacant plots could reduce gun assaults and vandalism. Bernaz et al., 2011. 4K study. Prince Fawaz project is located about 10 km from the center of Jeddah on Jeddah-Mecca Highway, which intersects with Prince Fawaz Road, splitting the project into 4 distinctive zones: A. 602 units, B. 200 units, C. 314 units, and D. 202 units, Fig. 2. Each zone is divided into blocks including some 2-floor detached dwellings that are dedicated to mid-income Saudi families. Fig. 3. The project enjoys many public services such as mosques, open spaces, shops, a sports center and primary, middle, and secondary schools. Figure 2. The layout of Prince Fawaz project, Jeddah, source, Google Earth, edited by the author. Figure 3. A typical dwelling of the project, source, the author. 4.1. Crime rates and patterns in Prince Fawaz project. Rates and types of crime in the Prince Fawaz project during the last 3 years, 2017 to 2019, are summarized in Table 2. Unfortunately, the information does not include the location of the crimes. The table indicates that crimes in the project are classified into 4 types: money molesters, self-molesters, moral, and juveniles. Data in the Table 2 show that, during the year 2017, the number of money molesters crimes reaches figure 33, i.e., 52% of the total number of crimes. Car theft, with the number of 16 crimes, is the highest on the list, representing 25.3% of the total crimes. Moral crimes, including sexual offenses and drinking alcohol, reach 17 crimes, i.e., 26.9% of the number of crimes, which makes them come second. Drinking alcohol topped the list of moral crimes with the number 12 representing 19% of the total crimes. The number of self-molester crimes reaches 12, i.e., 19% of the total crimes. During the year 2018, the number of reported crimes has doubled, reaching 116 crimes. Again, money molesters crimes come in the first place with a number of 63 criminal offenses, i.e., 54% of the total number of reported crimes. Car theft topped the list, followed by home theft with the numbers of 27 and 13 crimes respectively. Moral crimes reached 32 crimes, i.e., 27.5% of the total number of crimes, mostly like the previous year. Although the number of self-molester crimes rose to 17, its percentage of the total number fell to 15% of the total crimes. In the year 2019, the number of crimes in the project declined to reach 77 crimes, i.e., 66% of the number of 2018, and slightly exceed the record of 2017. Still, money crimes, which amount to 45, represent about 58% of the total number of crimes. Car theft topped the list, followed by home theft with 22 and 10 crimes respectively. Moral crimes reach the number of 20, representing 26% of the total crimes. While self-molester crimes dropped to 8, representing about 10% of the total crimes. The above figures indicate that although the total number of crimes varies among the 3 years, the number of money molesters crimes is the highest, followed by moral crimes and self-molester ones. The rate of money molesters is rising, 52%, 54%, and 58%, and car theft is always on the top of records, representing a quarter of the crimes along the 3 years, 25.3%, 23.3%, and 28%. Home theft, which comes in the second place of money molesters, is alarming as its rate is increasing, 7.9%, 11.2%, and 13%, it is almost doubled over the 3 years. However, the rate of moral crime is steady over the 3 years, 26.9%, 27%, and 26%, while the rate of self-molesters is decreasing, 19%, 15%, and 10%. Table 2. Numbers and types of crime committed in Prince Fawaz Project 2017 to 2019. 2017, 2018, 2019. Classification: crime type, rate time, rate time, rate time. Money molesters: car theft 16:02 a.m. - 12 p.m. 27:01 a.m. to 10 p.m. 22:01 a.m. to 10 p.m. Shop theft 1:10 a.m. to 12 p.m. 08 a.m. to 10 p.m. 08 a.m. to 10 p.m. Home theft 5:02 a.m. to 12 p.m. 13:02 a.m. to 12 p.m. 10:02 a.m. to 12 p.m. Theft 1:10 a.m. to 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. to 8 p.m. 1:02 a.m. Theft attempt 0:59 a.m. to 9 p.m. 17 a.m. Ravage 1:10 a.m. to 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. 11 a.m. Sorcery 2:08 a.m. - 10 p.m. 7:07 a.m. to 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Fraud 7:01 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7:05 p.m. to 12 p.m. 8:05 p.m. to 12 p.m. Self-molesters brawl 2:06 a.m. to 11 p.m. 1:03 a.m. to 10 p.m. 1:03 a.m. - 10 p.m. Scrimmage 8:01 a.m. to 12 p.m. 11:01 a.m. to 11 p.m. 3:01 a.m. to 12 p.m. Weapon possession 2:02 a.m. to 12 p.m. 5:04 a.m. to 10 p.m. 4:04 a.m. to 10 p.m. Moral sexual offenses 5:01 a.m. to 12 p.m. 7:01 a.m. to 12 p.m. 4:01 a.m. to 12 p.m. Drinking alcohol 12:04 a.m. to 12 p.m. 25:04 a.m. to 10 p.m. 16:05 a.m. to 11 p.m. Juveniles absent 1:06 a.m. to 12 p.m. 3:05 p.m. to 12 p.m. 2:05 p.m. to 12 p.m. Embezzlement 0:11 a.m. 1:10 a.m. Total 63 116 77. Source: figures were obtained from Prince Fawaz Police Office, classified and arranged by the author. 4.2. Trace observation. Open spaces. There are several open spaces permeating the residential units. These spaces are characterized by dereliction, so they are mostly transferred into the junkyard where domestic, gardens and construction waste are dumped. In peripheral spaces, a very little number of alcohol bottles and cans are detected. However, many of these spaces are connected to both exterior and interior roads, which makes them uncontrolled access into the project. In response, some residents surrounded these spaces with fences, annexed them to the private gardens, or arranged them as playing areas, Fig. 4. Parking areas, residents used to park cars in streets in front of their units. Parking areas are directly overlooked from the dwelling or the guard room. Most of the parking spaces are surrounded by iron fences, strings, or chains, Fig. 5. Fences are heavily utilized everywhere in the project. They are raised to more than 6 meters. In many instances, high fences isolate residents from viewing outside, Fig. 6. Even public buildings like mosques and schools are surrounded by high fences. Protection iron. The heavy use of protection iron is observed in all dwellings on doors, windows, and air conditioners. Visual obstacles. Visual obstacles are noticed in the project, including water tanks, electric transformers, garbage containers, and enclosed parking areas, which have heights that outweigh the rise of an adult person. The location of those elements and their impact on visual scopes does not follow any criteria, though they are abundantly existing in main streets, especially those leading to mosques. Moreover, trees and shrubs planted by residents to offer privacy for their families enhance visual isolation, Fig. 7. Figure 4. Open spaces either neglected or seized by adjacent units, source, the author. Figure 5. Parking areas are exposed or protected by fences, source, the author. Figure 6. High fences are utilized to achieve privacy and protection, source, the author. Figure 7. Different types of visual obstacles, source, the author. Observation indicates that inhabitants do not seem to enjoy a satisfactory level of security. The heavy use of fences, strings, chains, protection iron on dwellings and parking areas reflects the fact that there is a fear of theft. This could be justified by the numbers of theft and car theft crimes illustrated in the table, 2. The deteriorated situation of open spaces seems to generate a feeling of fear as argued in theories. Likewise, ambiguous or screened areas created by visual obstacles sustain such feeling. 4.3. Behavior observation. Behavior observation concentrates on the activities that have a direct or indirect relationship with crime or fear of crime. Some activities and behaviors could be recorded, including the scarcity of children or adults in the open spaces or streets. Their presence is limited in better off spaces utilized as gardens or playing areas. Scattered groups of teenagers are noticed in periphery open spaces. Foreign labor, porters, drivers, and home labor, gathers in front of dwellings. Zones D and A are more teeming than the others according to the presence of shops, while areas B and C enjoy a well socio-economic look. The pedestrian movement is rather low except during prayer times when some residents go to and return from the mosques. Behavior observation can support the idea that inhabitants do not seem to enjoy a satisfactory level of security as derived from trace observation. The uncontrolled open spaces attract youth from adjacent areas to play in, which sometimes ends up with scrimmage. They also attract foreign labor to skulk and drink alcohol. So, families seem to avoid such spaces. This could be also justified by records of scrimmage and drinking alcohol crimes. However, the absence of inhabitants in open spaces could be partly attributed to the hot, humid weather. 4.4. Questionnaire Analysis. The questionnaire contains questions concerning crime experience and feeling of security in different spaces during day and night as argued below. About 49% of the respondents do not allow their children to play in outdoor spaces, while 51% of them do. Whereas, 73% of the respondents do not feel worried about their children while playing outdoors. Despite this, 71% of them allow their children to play in the region while 29% of them do not do so. Being worried then does not prevent families from allowing their children to play outdoor, which means that they do not consider the area unsafe to the extent that requires preventing children from playing outside, while preventing children refers to reasons unrelated to security. No significant differences among the 4 zones of the project were detected. Residents consider their dwellings very safe with a median of 4.59 during the day and 4.41 during the night, on a scale from 1 to 5, respectively. A less degree of satisfaction was detected in the western zones, C, D, during the day with a median of 4.21 and 4.38 for clusters C and D, and during the night with a median of 3.96 and 4.14 compared with zones A and B that recorded a median of 4.73 and 4.78 during the day and 4.43 and 4.73 during the night. Residents consider the main roads leading to their dwellings safe during day and night with a median of 4.08 and 3.65 respectively. Likewise, frontal streets and spaces with a median of 4.19 and 3.86 respectively, and rear streets and spaces with a median of 4.03 and 3.59 respectively. With that level of satisfaction, there is no logical explanation for protection fences built around parking areas in front of dwellings unless such satisfaction was achieved after erecting the fences. Again, a less degree of satisfaction was detected in the western zones during the day compared with the eastern ones with a median of 3.69 and 4.06 respectively, while no significant difference among the four zones was detected during the night. Residents consider spaces surrounding the mosque safe during the day, but this satisfaction decreases during the night to a neutral level with a median of 3.65 and 3.31 respectively. Different levels of satisfaction among the four zones were detected with a median of 4.06, 4.21, 3.58, and 3.75 for clusters A, B, C and D respectively. It is noticeable that the satisfaction level in spaces surrounding the mosques is less than those around the dwellings. Residents evaluate the commercial area rather safe during the day, but less safe to a neutral level at night with a median of 3.96 and 3.39 respectively. Again, a less level of satisfaction was detected in the western zones than the eastern ones with a median of 4.06, 3.75, 3.58, and 3.75 during the day, and 3.57, 3.53, 3.0 and 3.19 3.57 during the night for clusters A, B, C and D respectively. Residents consider the project boundaries safe during the day while neutral during the night with a median of 3.7 and 2.94 respectively. Residents evaluate the eastern edges as the safer where the eastern zones A and B achieved a median of 4.07 and 3.65 while western zones C and D achieved a median of 3.56 and 3.49. In general, residents give the project a positive evaluation regarding security without differences between the four zones achieving a mean of 3.79 during the day and 3.34 during the night. In terms of crime rate, the questionnaire clarifies some differences between the four zones. Respondents indicate that Zone A is the top in crime rate where 19.3% of the residents exposed to crime. Zone C is in second place, 13.3%, followed by Zones B and D, 12.1% each. Likewise, 42.2% of the respondents of Zone A heard that their neighbors exposed to crime, while those who heard about crime in Zones D, C, and B amount the ratio of 24.2%, 23.3% and 17.2% respectively, Table 3. By adding figures of both who exposed to crime and who heard about crime, the aggregate number of crimes in the four zones can be monitored. Zone A is the highest, 61.4%, followed by Zone C and D, 37.3%, 36.6%, while Zone B is the least vulnerable to crime, 28.7%. The total aggregate indicates that 42.5% of the residents either exposed to crime or heard about crime. However, residents' proposals for enhancing security are limited in maintaining the neglected open spaces and removing garbage regularly. Table 3. Crime rate indicated by respondents in the four zones. Exposed to crime, heard about crime aggregate. No yes total, no yes total. Zone A count. Percent per zone 92. 80.7% 22. 19.3% 114. 100% 66. 57.8% 48. 42.2% 114. 100% 70. 61.4%. B count. Percent per zone 83. 87.9% 11. 12.1% 94. 100% 78. 82.8% 16. 17.2% 94. 100% 27. 28.7%. C count. Percent per zone 51. 86.7% 8. 13.3% 59. 100% 45. 76.7% 14. 23.3% 59. 100% 22. 37.3%. D count. Percent per zone 82. 87.9% 11. 12.1% 93. 100% 70. 75.8% 23. 24.2% 93. 100% 34. 36.6%. Total 308. 85.6% 52. 14.4% 360. 100% 259. 71.9% 101. 28.1% 360. 100% 153. 42.5%. Results indicate that residents' evaluation of security in the project spaces is positive. Medians achieved in different spaces are all surpassing figure 3.39 except for the project boundaries and spaces around mosques at night. This can be justified by the absence of activities. Residents of the eastern zones, A, B, enjoy a better level of security than the western ones, C, D. The explanation for Zone A could refer to the continuity of movement associated with shops as noted in theories above. Although Zone C has a good socio-economic appearance, it does not seem to enjoy a high level of safety, which makes issues like image and milieu questionable. However, the level of security inferred from the questionnaire is rather contradicting with the reported rates of crime and the observed tactics of protection. Such a level of satisfaction could be achieved due to the precautions taken by inhabitants to protect their properties. 4.5. Space syntax. Prince Fawaz project is analyzed with depth map software. The maps produce a set of local measures: connectivity, depth, control, controllability, and choice, and global measures: depth, integration, intelligibility, agreement, integration core, and entropy. The terminologies used are illustrated in the appendix. Figure 8 left illustrates the integration map of the project. The map indicates that the north-south axis is the most integrated. The segments perpendicular to the north-south axis, and surrounding the four zones, have high integration values too. These lines represent the spine of the project. They connect the four zones but do not penetrate any of them. This is clarified more in figure 8. Right, which represents lines that are 25% more integrated, integration core. Most integration core segments are located on the borders of zones with a limited number that penetrates them. This confirms the fact that each zone of the four acts as an isolated entity with a little relationship with the others. Zone A is the most penetrated, which means that it is more accessible than the others. Though, the questionnaire indicates that it is the highest crime rate. This, however, makes accessibility questionable. Figure 8. Integration maps, left, project integration map, right, lines 25% more integrated, integration core. The intelligibility value of the project, which amounts to 0.042, is relatively low compared to the average values available in residential areas, which reach up to 0.7, Fig 9. Left and middle. Intelligibility value in Zone A is relatively higher than other areas, reaching the figure 0.123. The high intelligibility encourages strangers to navigate through the area. The low intelligibility value refers to the clear distinction between spaces, streets, that link between regions and the internal spaces in each zone. Despite the low intelligibility value for the project, the intelligibility value for pedestrians, diameter 3, is high with a value of 0.71. The intelligibility value for Zone A is also the highest among others with an average of 0.74, making it more accessible for outsiders. The relationship between integration and choice expresses the degree of compatibility between residents and strangers' movement routes. Figure 9. Right, illustrates a good relationship expressed by the regression coefficient, R2 equals 0.421, for the project, i.e., streets that are jointly used by both residents and strangers are not few. In addition, the chart clarifies that 3 out of the 4 zones enjoy a high regression coefficient ranging between 0.52 and 0.56, while Region A has a value of 0.339 only, i.e., the agreement between residents and strangers in this region is the least. This reflects the absence of natural surveillance imposed by the coexistence of both residents and strangers, which provides the opportunity for crime. This can be one of the reasons for the high number of crimes concluded throughout the questionnaire in this zone compared with the others. Figure 9. Left and middle, intelligibility values of the project. Right, compatibility between residents and strangers in the 4 sectors. In the light of the foregoing discussion, the high crime rate reduced in Zone A can be interpreted, where many factors have led to this situation. First, the high values of both integration and intelligibility. Second, the relatively deep penetration of the core of integration into the region, makes the region more accessible by strangers. Third, and most importantly, the weak coincidence between spaces commonly used by residents and those easily accessed by strangers. The third factor eliminates the residents' control and surveillance of strangers, which seems essential for the security of residential areas. 5. Discussion and conclusion. On the theoretical level, the case study shows that none of the approaches concerned with security in residential areas reached up to completion, but each has aspects that partly work. Prince Fawaz project clarifies that the unidentified, uncontrolled, and inactive open spaces are unsafe areas that raise the residents' fear in accord with defensible space and PTID. While defensible space claims territoriality and access control, the case study shows that streets in which residents and strangers' movement matches enjoy a higher level of security. This agrees with PTID, new urbanism, and space syntax. To enhance security in affordable housing, it is suitable to examine it case by case. A detailed record for types, places, and time of crimes is a major component. A comparative analysis of projects can help to refine the results too. Based on trace and behavior observation, as well as the questionnaire, the periphery open spaces constitute unsafe areas. Space syntax illustrates that they are accessible by outsiders with little compatibility with residents. Such spaces provide uncontrolled access to the project, resulting in a threat for the residents. Controlling access to these spaces, a process that some residents began to do on their own, is a recommended approach. As extracted from the questionnaire, organized and clean spaces reflect the sense of security among residents and provide an inappropriate environment for criminals. Allocating and identifying specific activities for spaces encourage users to use them as intended. It is equally important to allocate open spaces to specific entities to organize and maintain them. Spaces around mosques are safe during prayer time and vice versa, as reported by the questionnaire. The movement to/from mosques, 5 times along the day, bring life to the area during prayer times and makes residents feel safe. While the lack of pedestrians in between prayer times accompanied by the existence of visual obstacles, according to trace observation, demonstrate the feeling of fear. Vegetation and rearranging visual obstacles, like water tanks and garbage containers, are expected to remedy fields of vision, offering a comfortable environment for residents. Identifying areas for labor to gather in at night can keep an eye on the spaces, add courtesy, and hence maintain security. Zone A, the highest crime rate according to the questionnaire, is the most crowded according to behavior observation and the most accessible and penetrated according to space syntax. But, the agreement between residents and strangers movement is the least. This emphasizes the fact that strangers' presence or movement through the residential area has limited influence on crime when they are accompanied by residents. On contrary, the absence of residents provides an opportunity for crime in spaces mostly accessed by strangers. This is typical with spaces around shops. It is recommended, thus, to reformulate movement routes to drive strangers to routes used by residents, integration core. Otherwise, the integration core could be reallocated to penetrate the 4 zones instead of surrounding them, and pass by the commercial zone and mosque in each zone. This is expected to enhance intelligibility across the project, encouraging movement on carefully selected spines that are compatible with residents' movement. Zone A, in specific, requires more compatibility between residents and strangers' movement to provide an adequate level of surveillance. The rest of the areas, with low intelligibility values, could be turned into controlled private and semi-private entities to block strangers to navigate through. Comparing Zone A, the highest crime rate according to the questionnaire, with Zone B and D, the least in crime rate, raises the issue of size and population of housing development. Results advocate small-scale development with a straightforward urban pattern. Fear of crime can be generally eliminated by providing sustainable maintenance for the project spaces and movement routes. Vegetation can play a significant role herein. Protection tactics justify the low fear of crime achieved in the project despite the recorded crime rate. However, protection tactics need to be studied, examined, and developed in integration with the design, not imposed on it. This is an interesting future scope of research. Acknowledgement. This article was funded by the Deanship of Scientific Research, DSR, at King Abdulaziz University, Jeddah. The author, therefore, acknowledges with thanks DSR for technical and financial support. Conflict of interests. The author declares no conflict of interest.